there a doctor in the house? Is there a doctor in the house? Because the Patriots have just lost 4 of their players, and as we get further into the season, injuries are going to pile up. That was one of the most embarrassing performances. There we go. Don't worry, guys. I was faking an injury. This does represent that the left side of the offensive line, which we will get to later. Let's talk about this. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Patriots MayeFlower Voyage here on the Patriots channel, here on the Patriots Clubhouse channel. It's about this week where it's almost Thanksgiving and this shit happens when you basically lost all of the left side of the offensive line. Thank goodness that these are not season-ending injuries, but we were scared to death when we heard these news. And not to mention that Brandon Schooler is injured, Karis Tonga is injured. This has to be one of the most rough moments of this voyage. And you know it's not going to be that pleasant. But as usual, I am the captain of the ship, Dow, aka DTN, and I got my men with me, Andy and Thomas with me. Gentlemen, after that win, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling about that win? Starting with you, Andy.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna go on a semi-glass half full here and say 7. I know that sounds a little crazy because let me tell you, it is inexcusable. And we're going to talk about this later. It is inexcusable that we could neither punch the ball in from the half-yard line, nor did we just take the points on that drive. But Drake Maye really did pick up and dust himself off after possibly the worst first quarter of football he's played as a Patriot, and that's no lie. The beginning of that first quarter was just not watchable at all. Between the 3 and out and the pick 6 and then another 3 and out, it's like, really? Like, this is what a mini bye did to you guys, a Vrabel coach team? But he did pick himself up and dust himself off and keep going despite those losses on the O-line. Yes, it did come down to a stop on 4th and 10. But a win is a win, and you take them any way you can get them. Although the injuries, it's not exactly I'm not really sure how to word this, but not having Milton Williams for the next few games is going to be rough. Is going to be really rough. But hey, I just, I think this staff is competent enough to coach revolving around Drake Maye's skill set. And part of me has faith they'll be able to do that. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. How about you, Thomas? Where would you rank this game on a scale of 1 to 10?
I say 8 because sure we got a win here, but honestly, it's an ugly win. In my cup, I'm not here for the pregame because my recent panic attack and my recent being stranded in the fucking cold at this point. So, cut to the point. Am I confident that the Patriots beat the Bengals by double digits? No. Especially when it is one of our trap games also. And yes, we lost Campbell, we lost Wilson, but it's not going to be a big loss for us, not to be, because they're out for almost 1 or 2 games. So it's not a big loss for us. The biggest loss has been Williams at this point. On the defensive side of the football, without him, the run defense and even the pass defense here, I'm sorry. The next few games is going to be tough for us. The Giants, which they got Jameis Winston, for crying out loud, who's a gunslinging quarterback. Then Josh Allen and the frickin' Bills, and then Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. So, and I don't think Tonga's a loss because he came back for the game. I believe the second half. So I don't think that considered as a loss. So most likely is Williams. Tonga's fine at this point, but the next few games, it's going to be tough. The Giants, I know that their win-loss records, they're garbage, but do not let their offense fool you at this point. Do not let the defense fool you at this point. The Bills at home and the Ravens. And do not tell me in a straight face to say that the Patriots could actually beat the Ravens. To me, no. We'll get to the Ravens when we get to the Ravens.
Yeah, we'll get to the Ravens also the same time when my semester is over. Because, granted, yes, I was gone last week because I was obviously celebrating my birthday. I'm officially 21, so I'm basically a legal adult. But it did not help that I was also worrying about freaking exams. And thankfully, I got a passing grade of a 70 on my intermediate accounting exam. So that just warrants that, similar to how I need to get my shit together before the finals, which is sometime in the middle of December, Patriots should do the same thing when their final exam is coming soon, when you think about it. Because injuries are piling up. A lot of teams are now fighting for seeding, playoff contention, a whole bunch of stuff. So, before we get started here with the whole analysis and reactions, or raw reactions to this, please make sure that you smash the like button and that you are subscribed to this channel. This is the best way to help support the channel massively, and it helps us grow significantly as a community, as a family, and we appreciate that support. And if you can do me a favor, that you share this with your friends and families, and that you turn on the bell notification so that you're notified for future episodes like this Patriots MayeFlower Voyage. And if you haven't already, please, on the top right corner, if you're watching this on your computer or your iPad or your TV, please scan this QR code. This leads you to the Patriots Clubhouse Discord, or you can find it in the description of our channel. But without further ado, and if you haven't already, please make sure that you interact with us by posting your questions and comments relating to Patriots and football only. And yes, that does include draft. And I agree, Gerard, getting off topic, intermediate accounting is a highly difficult course. I had to tutor it to get my A. Otherwise, I would get a C for real. Thankfully, I got a B+. But let's get started with this show. I want to ask, this is a really important question. And I'll ask you this, Andy, first. Would it make sense that you learn your mistakes from a loss or from a win?
Has there been a question about this?
I'm sorry, Doug. Can you say that again? What about mistakes? Sorry.
Would you rather learn mistakes from a win or from a loss?
I would rather learn mistakes from a touch and go win, because I would not, if this were a loss, we'd be looking at everything that went wrong for both the offense and defense in that game, from the pick six to not being able to punch it in from the 1 or the half-yard line, rather, and allowing 2 4th and longs on Cincinnati's final drive. Now, we're not talking about that, but we are talking about, we are talking about red zone struggles. And one thing they said on the radio today was that we don't have a talent like an Edelman or a Gronk or a James White who can just be your go-to guy inside the 5 or 10 yard line. And I can't disagree with that, because, we have Hunter Henry, but he really worked as a field stretcher yesterday. I think he had 115 receiving yards, which was like the 5th or 6th guy with triple-digit receiving yards this season. But, I think it was, there were learning lessons, in several ways. There are several errors that we made that we can potentially learn from. like red zone struggles, then Cincinnati came into that game the worst red zone defense in the league, and they stopped us 8 times on that one drive. And as for defense, I think, without Milton Williams these next few games, you're just going to need to. I'm not sure how you'll adjust to that with games coming up against, the likes of James Cook and Lamar Jackson. But we're going to have to, Vrabel and Core are going to have to find a way to try to at least try and get by those guys. You can't throw those games by the wayside at all.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And when we talk about this, after that win, I noticed that when I watched that locker room video, I realized that this is not your typical locker room celebration, because I saw a lot of players not looking happy. But when we talk about this, Thomas, when you hear Mike Vrabel's message saying it's important to have that next man up mentality and not to be down whenever a player goes down. So what do you think of Mike Vrabel's message to the players when basically 4 of our starters went down with an injury?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't know what to tell you at this point. I watched the whole damn thing. I literally don't know, honestly.
In my opinion, when it comes to Mike Vrabel and that video, when I watched that celebration, I don't know how to put this into words, because basically this is not like your typical win where basically, you feel great about yourselves, because granted that we're the first team currently to have 10 wins. We're currently number 1 in the conference. We're still number 1 in the division, and we're the only team in the AFC East to at least get a win, while the Buffalo Bills stupidly lose to Davis Mills, draft neck Texans, and obviously Jets laying an egg to the Ravens, and obviously Dolphins having a bye. But when you think about this Patriots win, there are a lot more mistakes than there are this is not a flawless win. There were so many flaws on both sides of the ball, and we'll definitely get into this. But when we talk about playoff seedings, Andy, granted that this was not a perfect win, but how do you feel that because the Chiefs beat the Colts, and huge shout out to Jamie for joining here in the YouTube chat, but what are your thoughts on the Patriots currently number 1 in the AFC conference?
I don't know what to think about that. I mean, this is just another indication of how wide open the AFC is. And yes, I must say, I gotta say, part of me is disappointed that the Chiefs won, because I really don't want to see Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Sorry for the robot voice there, but I would rather play Daniel Jones than Patrick Mahomes. I just would. But hey, they actually went that win. Oddly enough, the Bills lost, the Ravens won, and by virtue of already having 8 wins, and the Broncos have 9 wins, and we now have 10 wins. The Chiefs actually dropped from the 9th to the 10th seed, so they're still on the outside looking in. But so I think this playoff race is really going to shape up over the next 2 to 3 games. And I believe with the way the Bills have looked, the Chiefs, the top 3 seeds, I think, it's going to be a horse race between the Pats, the Broncos, and the Colts. Neither the Chiefs nor the Colts is a very easy upcoming schedule. I mean, is it possible the Chiefs rise and the Colts fall off? Yes. Is it possible the Ravens rise up? Absolutely, because the Steelers aren't looking very good right now. Why are you shaking your head there, Thomas? Why?
Because I don't think the Chiefs are going to rise. They have a tougher schedule than what you think, and I'm sorry. That Chiefs win against the Colts is just nothing but luck. The Colts should have had that game won, but
True.
instead, the Chiefs just literally just made the two lucky fucking field goals. Sorry, Jamie. No offense. Two lucky field goals that they could won the game. The Colts are a better team than the Chiefs this season, and I'm not lying. I'm not even lying. I saw the game after watching the Patriots win the game. The Colts should have won this game. They're a way better team than the Chiefs are. I still don't trust their offensive line, which they're weak. Their wide receiver room is completely garbage. Besides Travis Kelce, besides Rice, besides anyone else, I don't know the single name out of it. And I'm sorry, Mahomes is not the same quarterback as he once was back in a few years back.
No, that I do.
And I'm sorry.
I do agree that Mahomes is not an MVP quarterback, 100%.
Yeah, and I don't care how bad Daniel Jones is. I'd rather have Daniel Jones in 2025 over Patrick Mahomes.
I'm gonna give King Jamie a shout out there. Your defense, man, stopped Jonathan Taylor, and that's saying something. They held him in check.
Yeah, I'm not getting distracted or anything, and I know I really want the Colts to beat the Chiefs, but at the same time, when we talk about preferential seating, it would have been nice. I wanted the Chiefs to win just because this could be beneficial for us, that we can secure our number one seed. Granted that Broncos are currently had their bye week, so I hate it at the same time, but when you think about it, it would have been better if the Patriots won, and also in a most perfect fashion along with that. But it didn't help that we won in the craziest fashion with the Chiefs winning in that fashion. This is week 12, in my opinion, has to be one of the most craziest weeks in the NFL when you think about it. When the Lions beat the Giants in overtime, when the Bears barely beat the Steelers 31-28. This is one of the most
and that Eagles Cowboys game was nutso cuckoo too.
Oh, this so-called electric comeback.
Well, unfortunately, it is a comeback. The Eagles just choked. They're at 21 points, and the Cowboys literally came back to put 24 on their motherfucking asses. And I'm sorry, this is much a Cowboys comeback here over when the Eagles choked.
No, she told me she would still do for you.
Yes, agreed. But let's now get into this let's get into the Patriots Bengals game, because we got so much to discuss. Let's start off with Mr. Drake Maye, and let's talk about his first quarter performance. I don't know what happened or why I may need a new TV, but this is uncharacteristic from Drake Maye. Granted that Drake Maye is not going to have like a perfect performance. He's not going to have like a Josh Allen treatment. And by the way, guys, Josh Allen got sacked 8 times and allowed 3 turnovers, so that's uncharacteristic of him. But Drake Maye, uncharacteristically, through that interception, allow it to be a pick 6, and that pick 6 came from Geno Stone. But when we talk about this, Andy, what in the fuck? Excuse my language.
No, I'm good.
How the Patriots offense been doing? Like the Jets win, that was promising, but the way that they did against the Bengals, that should have been a lot better than what we typically expect against the worst defense.
Yeah, that first okay. Overthrowing, missing wide open receivers, a pick 6, that entire first quarter and really the beginning of the second quarter, I was like, okay, what has happened to Drake Maye in the last week and a half? I mean, like I said, that was as rusty as he ever was last year. It wasn't rusty last year. He was a rookie, but that was, I don't know what the crap happened in that first quarter, man. It was just like, I wanted to cry. I'm like, oh crud. Here I've been singing the praises of Drake May after I didn't want him in the draft. Here I've been singing his praises for a year and a half, and now he is looking like the Mitch Trubisky clone I was afraid he was leading into that 24 draft. Of course, as we know, like I said, he picked himself up and kept going. Dare I say, like Tom Brady in Super Bowl 51, and that's a veteran quarterback trait right there to have one of your first worst quarters ever and then just keep playing. But it's almost like he and most of the receivers weren't even on the same page in that first quarter. They just started super off. And when you're playing a better team, you got Baltimore and Buffalo coming up. When you get into the playoffs, you're not going to want to see a quarter of football like that from these Patriots. It's just not going to work when you're facing a better team.
Unfortunately not. And yes, I do agree with Jamie in this instance. One bad game doesn't define Drake May. The kid does fantastic, and the way he still got his shit together was cool. Exactly. Like, thankfully, he redeemed himself after that pick six and got a touchdown to Hunter Henry. And by the way, that pick six, that target was intended for Hunter Henry. So the fact that they bounced back was stellar. But when we talk about this, Thomas, those first two drives in the first quarter, this was unordinary from the Patriots offense because, well, I was not shocked that the Patriots always, and I mean always, start slow in the first quarter. But the fact that they went it went 6 plays and 17 yards, and then they punted, and then 3 and out, and then a punt. But what the hell happened with that offense from your perspective, Thomas?
Inconsistent plays from Drake May, as we know it. Inconsistent play calling by Josh McDaniels at this point. And most importantly, inconsistent discipline from the hee-haw offensive line. Like, come on, man. Like, seriously. Like, now people know in this channel here, I always complain about when the offensive line being this shit. And what happened at the game against Cincinnati? Against the worst defense in the fucking league? They are shit. And I'm already sick and tired of it. Honestly. Like, we cannot have this piss poor performance here when we get against the Bengals here. We got the Giants next. And like don't let their win-loss record fool you because their defense is stingy. They're almost stingy as the Houston Texans at this point. I'm honestly, like, if we cannot get our act up with our offensive line here to protect Drake May, and if Drake May does keep continuing with those inconsistent throws that we saw against the Bengals, and if Josh McDaniels makes some inconsistent play calling here, we're gonna have a long game at this point. And I'm sorry at this point. I'm happy to see New England sit in first place in AFC. We might gonna lose that immediately if we play another one of our trap games, including the Giants, and then we play against the Bills and the Ravens. If we stop make those inconsistent plays from Drake May, if we cannot stop making inconsistent play calls from McDaniels, and if we cannot stop with the inconsistency of the offensive line, we're going to have a long last stretch of the season.
As Bill Belichick always says, this is where true football begins. And that game has basically begun that kind of season because as far as we know, generally November and December are usually like those particular months where basically real football starts to kick in. And we obviously learned that Giants are the very first team in this this season to be officially eliminated from contention. And because of that, they also fired their defensive coordinator in Shea Bowen, which I am not surprised after blowing another lead to the Detroit Lions at Ford Field. So I'm not surprised that we're getting some random gift. But that does not mean that this could magically happen, because Giants have been doing this. And I know that we're trying to talk about the Bengals here, but when we talk about the Giants, they constantly blow leads in the worst fashion. Like when we talk about the Denver game, when we talk about the Chicago game. This is crazy. This is crazy when we think about it. But but when we go back to the first quarter, I was shaking my boots when I saw that the offense from the Bengals, granted that they're inconsistent, but Joe Flacco, a Skip Bayless pincoin. This is uncharacteristic from this defense. Granted that we did lose Milton Williams, so I will give them that. But it doesn't give them an excuse that this run game, this run defense, but let's get back to Drake May. Let's get back to Drake May because granted that we need to talk about that pick six. Andy, let's talk about the pick six. Is this uncharacteristic from Drake May to throw that nasty turnover and then you know that there are Patriots fans being like, oh, we should have Drake May's this bust, Drake May this, Drake May is that. Do you think that from Patriots fans, is that an overreaction from them and from Boston media, especially 98.5, CBS Sports and NBC Sports? Do you think it's an overreaction?
Well, I was listening to 98.5 today, and they actually didn't seem to be overreacting at all, surprisingly, or very little. But saying he's a bust after one play, I can understand. I mean, after the way he's looked all season long, you can't say that. I mean, the best quarterbacks in the game have bad games. Tom Brady had shit games every so often. Peyton Manning, his last couple of seasons, he was statistically one of the worst quarterbacks in the league when they won Super Bowl 50. Josh Allen's had a few off games. Pat Mahomes, God only knows what's happening to him. So, no. May one pick six in a game Patriots wound up winning, that does not mean he's, quote, a bust. I mean, that was, in retrospect, overreaction. But I can understand the frustration because, I mean, it's like, really, you know, one of your early plays in this game against a historically poor defense is a pick six. Like, that's I'm not going to call it inexcusable. I mean, the Bengals came to play yesterday and they nearly pulled it off with a cap to them. But, you know, it's a game of inches. We made the play when we needed to. And I'm digressing. But yes, I do believe that was an overreaction by many, many Pats fans right after that play.
Yeah, for sure. And when we talk about this, Thomas, granted that Drake May did okay. He only allowed, besides that pick six and a touchdown, and also almost getting to 300 yards, 6 short, by the way, because he had a career high of 294 yards. But look closely. He completed 2 passes out of 35 and only allowed 1 sack. But when we listen closely, 22 out of 35. Granted that he did have an impressive high yardage, but there are some passes from Drake May that he is missing. But when we talk about this, Thomas, what has been going on with Drake May and why he's missing some of these easy passes? Is it because of how how shit the offensive line is and how we lost Jared Wilson within like the first 2 to 3 plays of that drive, and then the fact that we lost Will Campbell for Vidarian blows?
That, and with Drake May being so inconsistent with his passes, we have never saw him do that ever since his rookie season. Like, dude, come on! Like, it's not only the offensive line cannot protect Drake May. Drake May has been inconsistent with his passes. And I'm sorry to say this, and even my dad would fucking say this. Drake May has been way too inconsistent with his passes at this rate. Like, he needs to stop playing hero ball at all costs here. Like, he needs to be consistent with his passing here. Consistent read the defenses, because right now he did not do a good job when he read against the worst defense in the damn league out of the Bengals, or people call them the Bungles.
They do bungle. They do bungle in the jungle. And do you think, Andy, that because of those 4 injuries that the turf at Paycor Stadium, which used to be known as the Paul Brown Stadium, is bad, next to the MetLife Field?
Sorry, Doug, come again.
Because of those 4 injuries that were suffered from the New England Patriots, do you think that Paycor Stadium, which used to be the Paul Brown Stadium, has the shittiest turf next to MetLife Stadium?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, because that's just like, I can't think of another stadium where you'd have, and it wasn't just our 4 injuries. I mean, you saw T. Higgins go down with an injury. One of the Bengals defenders. Who?
T. Higgins for a concussion.
For a concussion. Well, yeah, that's right. You're right. And I think one of the Bengals defenders went down earlier in the game too. When you see 6 or 7, I think it was actually 7 players go down in one game, something needs to be done about the conditions of that field, because it's natural. I think it's natural grass. And I have slipped and fallen and hairline fractured my ankle on natural grass. Let me tell you, it is not fun. And yeah, that's you should not have a field that's turning every game into an injury bowl. Granted, Paycor Stadium hasn't quite done. I don't think Paycor Stadium really did that this season until yesterday. I don't know. I have to look it up, but yeah, something's got to be done about that field.
Yeah, granted that when you have an owner who is one of by far the most cheapest owners in the league, in Mike Brown, who's currently like 89 or basically like almost in his 90s, even older than Jerry Jones, to be honest. Like,
when you're talking an owner who's cheaper than Jerry Jones, who's cheaper than, to be frank, Robert Kraft. I mean, and you heard it all the time in the lead up to that game. I mean, like, there is hardly a more miserly team in the NFL than the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, they just, they're not even like, they're not spending on their offense, to the point where Joe Burrow might be getting ticked within the next season or two.
Yes, but yeah. But let's get back to the quarterback. Let's get back to the quarterback discussion before we get into the run offense, because that of itself is also disappointing. But I love this comment from Gerard. He said that interception pass was an errant throw. May went back to form afterwards. That's an underrated talent. I do agree. The thing when it comes to Drake May is that after making that horrible play, at least he forgets about it. That's called short-term memory. And when he has a good short-term memory, that means that it's good that he looks better and forgets about the play. But sometimes you can forget about these good plays and you make these kind of throws uncharacteristically. But he's a second-year player. I'm glad that generally when it comes to quarterbacks during their second year of their career in the collegiate in the NFL, they tend to falter. They tend to deteriorate after their rookie year. Not this case for Drake May, because he looked promising like we all expected when it comes down to coaching, when it comes down to personnel, when it comes down to an owner, Robert Kraft, willing to open up his pocketbook or his checkbook, as people would like, as businessmen would like to call it, and willing to help develop Drake May. And that's one thing I really liked throughout the entire season. But there are times where Drake May can make these throws that are so uncharacteristic. Like, people might call it like how Josh Allen did it when he was. I wouldn't call it Josh Allen during his first 2 years because Drake May is not Josh Allen in a sense because Josh Allen allowed more turnovers than Drake May during the first 2 seasons when you think about it.
Yeah.
But
Another thing, when Austin and I were at that preseason game against the Commanders, we saw May make that boneheaded throw, and he should have just taken the sack, and it wound up being an interception. And then I think the Pats defense actually were miraculously forced a 3-and-out, the Commanders 3-and-out on that drive, and then we know what the Pats did from then on out. And Austin and I said, this kid can bounce back. That's going to be, that could wind up being a plus in the regular season. And it did in yesterday's game.
Yeah, definitely. But let's now head on to the run game. And I tell you, that run game of that with Ramondre Stevenson back, oh my gosh. That did not help the cause whatsoever because that had to be one of the most inconsistent running attacks I have ever seen from this team. And it's nothing against Travion Henderson. I thought they could use more of Travion Henderson, but that, in my opinion, has to be one of the most inconsistent or below average performances from the running back. And I want to ask you this, Thomas. With Ramondre Stevenson back from a toe injury, do you think that he's finished? I think that there's no way he's going to bounce back after his performance.
He's finished. Ramondre's finished at this point. I'm sorry to say this here. I've been a supporter of Ramondre since we drafted him here. He's been a good in-the-gut running back. He's washed. I'm sorry. He's completely washed. I'm going to keep saying it until he get a better performance this season. Because if he doesn't, I think it's about time to get a new running back for Travion Henderson.
That could be in the call. There's a possibility that we might need to look for a running back that could be like a Quinshon Judkins. That could be like a David Montgomery. That could be like a Justice Hill for Derrick Henry when you think about it. Because when I'm looking at this, when we talk about this, if you let Travion Henderson do all the dirty work, there's a possibility he might suffer another injury like he did during his first couple seasons at OSU. And we do not want to see that with Travion Henderson because he has been promising as of late. The problem is we don't have like a Sonic and Knuckles at this point with Ramondre Stevenson regressing at this point. I think these injuries are starting to I think they're starting to kill Ramondre when you think about it because I love Mondre. The problem that I have with Mondre, besides the injuries and his lack of consistency, and we all know about his turnovers, and I know Thomas alludes to ball security, but that guy lost his burst. There is no explosiveness out of Ramondre Stevenson. Would you agree, Andy, that he lost all explosiveness after to some of these injuries?
Yeah, I agree 100% that there was no explosiveness from Ramondre Stevenson yesterday. I was watching a running back comp yesterday, and here are his stats. 5 yards on 6 attempts for one one reception. He had an average of less than a yard per carry. He had 0.8 yards per carry. That had to rank near the bottom of the league among running backs over the weekend. And if I go to Travion Henderson, he had 18 carries for 66 yards. He averaged 3.7, but still, when you average that, your quarterbacks, that's 3.7 and 0.8. So roughly you're dividing 5 by 2. That's averaging less than 3 yards a carry for your running backs. And that's just not, if you want to have a spread the ball out, well-rounded offense, your wide receivers can't, and your tight ends can't be your only go-to guys. If you want a well-rounded offense, you're gonna have to eventually go off the running backs. And against that piss poor run defense of Cincinnati's, that yesterday's performance was not okay, really, from either running back, but especially from Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, when we talk about this, you granted that some of the aspects of Ramondre Stevenson that I do like is his pass blocking, and that's what has been lacking with Ramondre's absence. But when we think about it, you might need a guy that has the capability of not being your explosive guy, but also a guy that can be able to block for you. Because Travion Henderson, I thought he was supposed to be the guy to be your pass blocker. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Granted that he can be an explosive guy, I'll give him that. But with his pass blocking, it's not there yet. And I think with a little bit more time, with a little bit more development, with a little bit more bulking up, with bigger muscles, when you think about it, I think he's going to get there. But at this moment, Travion Henderson needs a sidekick. He needs a sidekick when we look into that. I don't know how we're going to find a sidekick, whether it be through free agency or whether that be through the draft. But what I do know is that Travion Henderson needs a sidekick. And Gerard mentions something interesting about injuries. I noticed more injuries occurred with fatigue. Working out is loss of form. Job-wise, it's displayed in mishaps. Great point, Luke. When we talk, let me see Luke's point. It's definitely got to be. They look depleted mentally. And this is, and I want to ask you this question before we get to the receivers. Generally, with teams coming out of a mini bye, or generally like a full week of a full bye week, they're supposed to be mentally ready, healthy, and ready to go for the game. That was not the case after the Jets game heading into the Bengals, Thomas. When we talk about this, do you think that the Patriots should have been more prepared after that mini bye week from Thursday Night Football against as we headed to the Bengals game?
They should have prepared. They should be mentally and physically prepared for that game, because that game against yesterday's game against the Bengals is just unexcusable at this point here. They're not even mentally ready. They're not even physically ready at this point. They have bad injuries to begin with on the offensive side of the ball, and mainly and less on the defense. It's mostly on the offensive side of the ball that they need to be mentally and physically prepared. Did we have that happen? Do we see that happen yesterday? No. We're not even mentally prepared or physically prepared after we beat them sorry-ass Jets. Also, fuck the Jets, by the way. They need to be mentally prepared. They need to be physically prepared when it comes to these games with the mini bye at this point in the near future. I'm sorry. We got ourselves a break because we got a Monday game against the Giants, and if the Patriots are not ready for that after that, then yeah, I don't know what to explain here with this.
I'm scared about this. I'm scared about the Buffalo game when you think about it, because here's the reason why. Back in 2021, and I don't want to be this historian guy. Generally, when we come back from a bye week, we play like shit. Except for that Jets game where we all know the rest of the story. But specifically when we come back from a bye week, that was the long time ago, that was against the Eagles in 2019. Recently, when it comes to coming out of a bye week, we play like shit. Even for an impressive season like 2021, where we basically had the easiest season and we didn't play well. Well, we basically had a mediocre roster led by Mac Jones. We played like shit after the bye week. Remember that game against the Indianapolis Colts week 15 in 2021? We were so hot when we had like 7 or 8 on a 7-game win streak. And when we came back from a bye after that Buffalo Bills game, we played like shit when you think about it. So I'm really scared when it comes to the bye week, because after that Bills game, if they don't beat the Cincinnati Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Buffalo Bills could be on fraud check. And if they somehow beat us after losing those 2 games, that raises a question mark when we think about it, because generally we play like crap after the bye week. Look at this. We played like crap against the Indianapolis Colts. We played crap, against the New York Jets, but thankfully we got bailed out by a touchdown. We played like crap against the Giants. We played like crap against the Cardinals. I don't know what's going on with the Patriots coming back from a mini bye week and play like crap. But when you look closely, the Patriots should have been mentally prepared for this. And that even comes from Drake May and this running offense, because when I saw that offense, after that one touchdown, the only thing that bailed us out was Andres Borgales with those field goals. That is not normal for this offense. Going up against the worst defense in the league by so many metrics. I don't know anymore. Like, I still have faith in this team. This team has exceeded so many expectations. They were a team that was supposed to have like at least 9 to 10 wins max. They are ahead of schedule.
Yeah, I was looking at ESPN stats leading into the season, and they had us forecast no more than 8 wins, 26th in the NFL. I mean, and that was with the third easiest schedule, which was known at that time. So don't give me this strength of schedule, Michigas, is the reason why the Pats are good. It's Drake May being ahead of the game and a coaching staff who actually know what they're doing. You have those two things. But if anybody who has 2 eyes, which I should watch, if anybody with 2 eyes watched that Cincinnati game yesterday, there were some things that just were inexcusable that need to be fixed, and you can't deny it at all.
Yeah, for sure. But let's quickly talk about let's talk about the receivers for a second. The receivers, they were like, and they were okay. They were nothing like flashy or anything. Other than Mac Hollins, I know Thomas I think Mac Hollins could be like a sneaky guy, and I know he has been a sneaky guy. What were your thoughts, Thomas, on this wide receiver core today? Granted that they didn't get any like touchdowns or anything.
Mediocre, above average. Again, it's nothing against them here. It's just the one at fault. The two things are at fault when it comes to the offense. Drake May's inconsistency on the first quarter, and the offensive line not protect the quarterback, and the receivers do not have a chance to make some catches. And the only person the only person on yesterday's game who got the catches and the yards and the touchdown here, Hunter fucking Henry, a tight end. You had to I'm sorry to go off the receivers. You really had to let Hunter Henry to pop off. That you want to repeat the 2023-2024 season all over again? Just to have a tight end lead the games again? Like, you need to be consistent. The receivers need to be consistent here. Stop dropping balls. Stop with the inconsistency at this point. Honestly.
Yeah, that was my one concern with the receivers. Like, granted, Hunter Henry had another impressive game. Like, he's not going to be the next Gronk, but what I do know is that the receivers, granted that we do not have a clear wide receiver one. Stephon Diggs, he's not like his Buffalo Bills self or towards the end of his tenure with the Minnesota Vikings phase, but we clearly don't have a wide receiver one. We clearly have a lot of work to do. And basically...
No, it's basically we don't need a wide receiver one at this point, honestly. It depends on who... I mean, I'm not the guy to say this here at this point. I don't think we need a wide receiver one at this point, honestly. But if we do need one here, honestly, like, I don't know. But I always said since the preseason, my wide receiver one is always be Stephon Diggs. Like, it's always been. But like you said, we don't have a clear wide receiver one. Like, Vrabel's offense does not even include who's going to be the lead receiver in this offense. It depends. It's the consistency on who deserves it more at this point, not who needs this wide receiver one more at this point. So everyone needs to be involved as a team, not one individual.
I agree in the sense that when you think about like for the Jets, for example, and I hate the Jets too, they have a clear wide receiver one. They do have the talent. The one problem I don't see with the Jets is the cohesion, the chemistry. We have the chemistry. The problem with it is the inconsistencies from Drake Maye, and he needs to continue working that, which is why I think Josh McDaniels. I love Josh McDaniels. I think his consistency. I think he's a great play caller, a great offensive coordinator. There are times where it could be really inconsistent. Like, not everything is going to be perfect. But what I do know is that there is a lot of work when it comes to this Patriots team, especially with the Patriots offense, especially in the mother effing run red zone, excuse me. The red zone was abysmal once again. When we take a look at this, let me read the stats. In the red zone, we have unsuccessfully had 0 attempts in the red zone. 0 out of 2. Does that raise concern, Andy, about the Thomas? Does that raise concern about the red zone offense?
Yes, major concern. If we cannot score on the red zone, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing at this rate? Like, if we cannot score on the red zone, we're just going to be the most inconsistent red zone offenses in the second half of the season.
Yeah, for sure. That question was original to you, Andy, but what are your thoughts on this red zone offense from the Patriots? 0 out of 2.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, the red zone. Wait, red zone offense. Yeah, it's got to be. Everything okay?
Yes.
Yeah, everything's okay.
Okay, good. Yeah, red zone offense. People are blaming Josh McDaniels, and it's like I said in our preamble. It's because we don't have a wide receiver one. We've been able to spread the ball out so much this season that, kind of like Thomas said, we don't need a wide receiver one. What we really need is like that bell cow running back who can punch it in from the 5-yard line. And that, I haven't seen evidence yet that that's Trevion Henderson, and I sure as fuck know it's not Ramondre Stevenson. But yeah, I do think the play calling needs to get better at, inside the 5 too. Like, what was it? A pick play, I think was called, force a pass. That's stupid. It's like, no, do what we did with Tom Brady and pull a quarterback sneak, and then in you go. Of course, the Bengals were ready for that. But, I honestly give more credit to Cincinnati's defense than I blame New England's offense. But I do think McDaniels needs to scheme a little bit better, in that regard.
I hope he schemes better for the game against the Giants, because we're going to head to the next phase of the position, and that is the offensive line. Because do you think that we're going to have to throw some screen passes to get Drake Maye to throw the ball away? Because when you look at this offensive line, there is still consistency with Bradbury, Onwenu, and Moses. But now that we lost Campbell and Wilson for like a week or two, there's a possibility we will see Blows and Ben Brown. And no disrespect to Ben Brown, I think Ben Brown has been very serviceable. The one player I'm more scared about is Verdarian Blow. And I want to ask you this, Thomas, since I know you have been vocal about the offensive line. Do you think Drake Maye is going to have to throw screen passes because of how the left side is in shambles?
Yes. And yes, I still like Ben Brown because he's the most serviceable players that we have here. But yeah, we need to start throwing screen passes for Drake Maye. But honestly, yes, I've been vocal with the offensive line, especially for last season, including the one player I hate. I wonder who that is. Fucking Verdarian Lowe, who is the worst offensive line in this team. And I hate it. Honestly. Verdarian Lowe is the most an unexcusable, depletable, unplayable, and might be the most hated offensive lineman in this team. And I hate him to death. I don't want to see him in my team next season, or the year after that, 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 or the year after that. If I see Fedora Lowe make massive mistakes on those 2 games of the second half stretch, bye bye, bitch.
I feel those frustrations as Pats fans because we can all agree that Vidarian Blow has been one of the most hated players on this team, and I don't disagree. Nothing impressive after that touchdown that he got against the Rams last year, but when it comes to Vidarian Blow, he has shown me nothing, even with brand new offensive line coaching. And granted that only 1 sack has been allowed for Drake Maye, but that does not give a fact that we all hate Vidarian Blow for this apparent reason. I don't know why we hate him. Probably because he sucked on the red side, and then on the left side where it's going to be question marks where Vidarian Blow has been abysmal. But yeah, I want to ask you this, Andy. With Vidarian Blow being the backup left tackle instead of the rookie Marcus Bryant, does that raise concern for this Patriots offense as we play against the Giants?
I 100% think it does, because I have not questioned a lot of decisions made by Mike Vrabel. And I was thrilled when Jalen Polk was let go. Why in the wide world of fuck did we keep Vidarian fucking Lowe? The guy would barely make the cut on a high school football team, if you ask me. I mean, I got to comment, despite the changes in the coaching staff, and people say, this coaching staff might work with Vidarian Lowe. I've seen nothing from that guy for me to believe that. Like, getting rid of Leighton Robinson was empirically stupid. Play Caden Wallace, for the love of God. I mean, just like, okay. We lost entire games last year thanks to this man.
Thank you. Yeah,
like,
bye-bye.
Vrabel, go back and look at footage from last year, and what a shit job he is. Really.
And what scares me is that when we play against the Giants, look who he's going to have to play against, either from the Giants. Thibodeau, Abdul Carter, or Brian Burns. Give me a break. Or even worse, Dexter Lawrence. Sexy Dexy was his nickname.
Sexy Dexy.
I can't stand Vidarian Blow. Like, why not Marcus Bryant? Isn't he supposed to be the backup left tackle? He was
backup
the
right tackle. I thought it was backup right tackle.
He was supposed to be that he was the left tackle across from Armand Membu, and oh, God damn it.
No, right tackle.
Why? Oh, that's right, because he was drafted because he did play left tackle for the majority of it.
Who was that third string left tackle we had that decides fucking Vidarian Lowe?
Oh, fucking A. DeMontre Jacobs. That guy who played right tackle and played.
Jacobs, whom I actually liked when we signed him, worse than Lowe.
Well, Lowe is worse at this point.
Like, it's so frustrating when we think about it. And I know we want to get to the defense quickly, but it's so frustrating when we thought that I would prefer Will Kimball. You could see him crying on the cart with a towel over his head because he's crying that he couldn't be able to defend Drake May. And now we're stuck here with fucking Madarian Blow once again, and you know the rest of the story.
No, I do not. I would not rule out that, man. I'm usually a glass half full kind of guy, but it would not surprise me to see that man lose us 3 out of these last 5 games. I mean, he's that bad. I just hope like Drake May adjusts and gets rid of that ball quickly and can be a check down Charlie, because Vidarian Lowe is nothing but a liability.
He has been a liability for 3 seasons. It doesn't matter if you're on the left side or right side. We should have never traded for him in the first place. Minnesota Vikings should be happy about this because they drafted that guy, and Bill Belichick traded for him, and he's been a liability.
I mean, better than, who was that guy? Isaiah Wynn, who was like penalized every game.
Or even worse, Trent Brown.
Oh, why the frack did we? Yeah, lazy bum.
Thank God we got rid of his ass, and now he's with the Houston Texans. But let's shift over to the defense. And oh my gosh, this defense. I'll give props to the secondary for this, but this defensive line.
I'll finally give props to Carlton Davis. That last drive, he was shut
And
down.
speaking, we're talking about Carlton Davis. I want to ask you this, Thomas. What are your thoughts on him finally having an impactful game? Because I know fans were bitching and moaning about how he's been trashed all season. The stage is yours, Mr. Thomas Noble.
Whoever says that Carlton Davis is trash this season, stop overreacting, for fuck's sake. Like, I believe in Carlton Davis since we fucking got him from free agency. He's still one of the best quarterbacks that we ever had here, along with Gonzo. I'm happy that he got a impactful game with those pass blocks, which is meaningful against this Bengals offense. And I'm happy the secondary has been playing well at this rate. Like, what Gonzo has played a mid-game or above average game. But Carlton Davis deserves his fucking flowers. If anyone says that Carlton Davis should not, go to hell. Go to hell and just rewatch this game and tell me if Carlton Davis is garbage at this point. He is not garbage. The dude has to come back from a devastating and unnecessary injury. Like, he's not the same quarterback as he once was when he won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady and the Bucs. Not the same guy he once was when he rebuilt the Detroit Lions. I don't know why I say Detroit Browns. That's a major botch. But the dude has an injury, like a meaningless injury, or possibly an illness, if all I care. Whatever it is, I never see Carl Davis being the play that played this mid or above average. He played a good fucking game for once. Like, I think he'll keep playing these good games and see if we can find out exactly if Carlton Davis is still that guy, which I still think he's that guy. He's still that guy to be mentoring to Christian Gonzalez at this point on the quarterback spot, on the quarterback room. Everyone here they're going to bitch and moan on Carlton Davis, and if he is garbage at this point, he's not fucking garbage. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you, this guys, but Carlton Davis is still that guy. Even if he is injured, even if he has an illness, he has a family errands that he has to run, he is still that guy on your quarterback room, regardless who is your quarterback 1, quarterback 2. He's still your guy on the quarterback room with Christian Gonzalez, of course, that's right, and Marcus Jones.
Yeah, for sure. I speaking of cornerbacks, oh my gosh, I'm watching. Man, Brock Purdy throw 3 interceptions. He's like Patriots Mac Jones for some reason. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and they're taking on the Panthers, which, again, I said this before that we went live. If the Panthers do win this game, they'll lead the NFC South.
I agree. But let's continue with this. Let's continue with the defense. When we talk about redemption, Harold Landry had a great game today. A great game. Granted that the pressure was missing. It has been declining. But Harold Landry has been bouncing back. He had 1 sack. And if I were to read this, let me see the box score. Let me find the box score. Forgive me, everybody, but let me quickly pull out the box score for that game. It was Harold Landry. When I find these stats, Andy, what are your thoughts on Harold Landry getting a 1 sack? And then he also had, let me read this. He had a tackle loss. He had 4 total tackles. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Harold Landry, that sack, if I remember correctly, was on Cincinnati's first drive, and it probably stopped them from getting a touchdown on that opening drive. So that was really key. It really set the defensive tone for the game, because we really only allowed 19 points by that offense, because one of those touchdowns was a pick 6, so we only allowed them 1 touchdown. But yeah, Harold Landry, I think, was key. 4 combined tackles, 1 assist, so like 5 total tackles. I think that is 1 sack, no safeties or no picks. But yeah, that's been his best game. I'm looking at the stats here. That's been his best game since Buffalo. And his first sack since Tennessee. So no, he had a good game versus Tampa too. So yeah, I definitely think that he's going to be key for this defense going forward, especially when we might be facing Jameis Winston. I'd like to see him be key against Josh Allen again, along with Kayvon Chaisson. So yeah, props to Harold Landry for yesterday's performance.
Kayvon Chaisson, this was not his best game, especially where he had missed tackles. He had that defensive offside penalty that negated that 4th down and 4th and 1, which I was really disappointed in Kayvon Chaisson when we think about this. Like, he should have had a better game, but that was not his best game. I think Kayvon Chaisson needs to get it together. Like, the past 2 games, that after that his impressive game against Tampa, he looked really well, but for some reason the past 2 games there were so many missed tackles from Chaisson, which is uncharacteristic from him. There is a reason why that we paid him for that 1 year, $5 million deal, but Chaisson needs to get back on this. But there's one other player I really want to talk about before we get to our Musket Men and Misfires. Marcus Mother-Loving Jones. He has been the kryptonite again for the Cincinnati Bengals, and I will read off the stats. Marcus Jones against the Cincinnati Bengals. He got 2 picks off of Joe Burrow on Christmas, well, technically Christmas Eve, week 16 at Gillette Stadium. One of them being a pick 6. The other one being a second interception where it unfortunately got injured. Then, week 1, 2024, at Cincinnati, he had a fumble recovery. After that tight end, I think his name was Tanner Hudson, miraculously, stupidly allowed the ball to drop. And Marcus Jones picked up the ball. Now, we're doing the same thing where Marcus Jones had another pick 6 on the Cincinnati Bengals. And when we talk about this, Thomas, what are your thoughts on Marcus Jones being back kryptonite to the Cincinnati Bengals?
Thomas, you're muted.
God fucking damn it!
As you were saying.
As I was trying to say before I accidentally mute my fucking ass mic. God damn it. As I was trying to say here, fantastic for Marcus Jones here. Fantastic game, fantastic career against the Bengals. At this point here, well-earned money, well-earned extension for him at this point. after that, what we witnessed against Cincinnati here, that pick six, the 2 pick sixes in his career against Cincinnati, and that fumble recovery as well.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think Marcus Jones, granted that he got the bet, I was scared about Marcus Jones before the season started because of his durability, because of his injury history. But thankfully, Marcus Jones this season as a captain, first-year captain with the New England Patriots, has officially redeemed himself. This is something that we did not see coming, but I think that Marcus Jones could potentially be better than Mike Haynes because Mike, as a punt returner and a cornerback, this has been some great, impressive performances from Marcus Jones. And I will not be shocked if Marcus Jones is a first-team All-Pro slot corner because he's been one of the best corners in the league so far. But let's now get into, and yes, I agree, the 4th and 10 breakup as well, which that won the game. That won him the game. Granted that he is 5'8" and the size has been, yeah. Talk about it, Andy, and also unmute yourself, please.
Again, trade being muted here. But yeah, that game should not have come down to one play, but the fact that it did is a check mark for the New England defense, which was really touch and go yesterday. They were saying on 98.5 this afternoon that Gesicki got trucked on that 4th down stop. I watched that replay. He did not get pummeled. That's just like, no, and the rest were tired of flag throwing. I rewatched that play. Gesicki didn't get hit that hard, if it's not my imagination. But yeah, that was a really gutsy 4th down stop by Marcus Jones, and it did win the game.
Yeah, definitely. But now, if you guys haven't already, and you should, please make sure that if you haven't already, smash the like button and that you are subscribed to this channel. It's the best way to help support the channel massively and helps us grow as a community, and we appreciate the support. It would be appreciated if you share this to your friends and family who are maybe interested in football, who are wanting to choose a team, and that may be the New England Patriots. And please scan the QR code if you want to join the Patriots Clubhouse Discord to interact with the boys. But let's now get to our favorite segment of this show, Musket Men and Misfires. And as usual, when it comes to Musket Men and Misfires, we give our winners and losers, both on offense and defense. Special teams, the winner's obvious. It's Andres Bergales. So usually how it goes is that we give one winner on offense, a winner on defense, and then a loser on offense and a loser on defense. And so you can start off, Andy, with your Musket Men and Misfires.
Okay, I will start us off. So on offense, my winner has got to be Hunter Henry. As I said, I believe he's either the 5th or 6th receiver with triple digit receiving yards. So I think it's Keyshawn Boutte, Steph Diggs, Pop Douglas, and him. And
also Matt Collins.
And Matt Collins. Thank you. So yeah, I think he's the 5th guy, possibly the 6th guy. But yeah, I mean, he just like that Bengals fan said in the pregame show the other night, throw to your running backs and your tight ends and, you'll roast us. Well, we came far from roasting them, but Hunter Henry had, a really solid game. He had the game's only touchdown and 100, so if I go to Hunter Henry's stats right here, 7 receptions for 115 yards, an average of 16.4, and he had the only offensive touchdown on the afternoon. So that is my winner on offense, Mr. Hunter Henry. My loser on offense, there's a bundle of them. I'd hate to go Drake May because he bounced back. So I'm going to go with my winner on defense, and that was Marcus Jones. The game-sealing stop on 4th and 10 said it all. The pick six essentially set the tone for the rest of the game. Helped us score 17 unanswered points after falling 10-0. And he was not really on my radar as a cornerback, like you said, Dow, in the lead up to the season. I thought it was going to be, Gonzo and Davis, and Gonzo is out the first 4 or 5 games, and maybe only the first 3 games. But yeah, so my winner has to be Marcus Jones at the pick 6 to set the tone and the final stop on 4th and 10. My loser's got to be Chason. I mean, you can't get a defensive offsides call, and I believe that led to the only offensive touchdown for Cincinnati on the afternoon. So it's like, you cannot make stupid mistakes in a clutch moment like that. I think if I look at his stats, he had also a couple of missed tackles. Okay, Levon Chase on stats. Yeah, he only had like 2 total tackles, and that offsides penalty was pretty much inexcusable. My loser on offense. Oh, jeez. Like I said, I can't pick one. But if I had to, I'd probably have to go Steph Diggs. If I remember correctly, he had a drop pass. Help me out here. But his stats, I think it might have been his worst game for us so far this year. If I just quickly look at it here. Yeah, Steph Diggs. He only had 2 receptions for 20 yards. Actually, he wasn't that great against Cleveland either, where he had 3 for 14. So he's had a couple of not so great games this year. But yeah, 2 for 20, along of 14. That's not bad. But
you technically cannot blame Diggs with this. It's mostly Drake May at this point. Like he got pressured, he got sacked.
Yeah, that's a fair point, Thomas. I mean, that defense was kind of all over Drake May. That bad defense, by the way.
Especially that was the worst defense in so many metrics. Without Trey Hendrickson.
Without Trey Hendrickson, exactly. So yeah, that's why, to your point, Thomas, that's why I really couldn't pick a loser on offense, because it was kind of a down day for the offense in general. Actually, no. I went through all of that, and my loser would be Ramondre Stevenson, because you are the veteran running back, and you average less than a yard per carry when you're supposed to be half of this Sonic and Knuckles running back duo. I mean, to his credit, Vrabel played more at Trevion Henderson yesterday, and he ran for 66 yards. Yeah, like we were talking about earlier, Stevenson, it's going to be time for him to go at the end of the season if he can't get his shit together. Yeah, he had 1 decent game, and that's been it. Yeah, he's been more or less of a bust at running back this season. So, yeah. There I go.
How about you, Mr. Noble?
My musket man on the offense, it's also Hunter Henry at this point. Like, the only guy who put up 100+ receiving yards at this game, his career high, as a matter of fact. But if I were to go someone else here at this point, I don't know who I'm going to go out of. But to be honest, it's going to be Hunter Henry regardless. My misfire on the offense is the obvious one yet. And this is the second time I name it as my misfire. Darian fucking Lowe! Who a lot of sack, a lot of pressures on the left side of the line, which is completely weak without Will Campbell. Like, Darian Lowe needs to act his fucking shit. And I don't think he'll act his fucking shit because he's the most hated, the most ridiculous, the most unreliable offensive tackle that we ever fucking had in this team. And I don't know why we still have him in this team. My God. Anyway, my musket men on the defense. Another easy one here. I know we're going to give it to Marcus Jones, but it's Carlton Davis. Because with those pass deflections he had, best game he ever had as a Patriot, those 8 total tackles, four solo tackles at this rate, Carlton Davis probably have the best game here. And my misfire, this one's maybe a shocker, but I'm sorry. I had to say Braden Swinson. He has not been involved in this game. I don't know if this is his first game as a Patriot or not, or whatever it is. But, dude, he has not been involved whatsoever.
I can see all your points. And here goes my musket men and misfires. Musket men on offense. We already know it's Hunter Henry because basically he redeemed himself after that intended target to him, which led to be a pick six. Thankfully, he had another impressive game. And the fact that you have a tight end having this many receiving yards over like 1, 2, 3, 4 receivers on your team, that's actually a huge red flag when we think about it. Because if I do the math, 67, 87, 105. At least like Hunter Henry has more receiving yards than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wide receivers. That is a red flag for the offense. And the fact that Hunter Henry did it against a shitty defense, that is a huge question mark. That is a huge question mark. My loser is the fucking red zone offense. I can't give a player. I will do it collectively. Because the fact that you are in the Cincinnati 1-yard line and it's a 4th down and you can't even convert it to a touchdown or score points and it became downs? Are you kidding me? Let me read this. You're at the 1-yard line. It's the second timeout. You couldn't even score it. I want to say Ramondre Stevenson's a liability at this point. He's also a loser too. The fact that you can't even go up the middle for an HB dive to score them. Easy 6 points. And it's 4th down on the 1-yard line. And you can't even score it. You should be in China right now learning Mandarin at this point. Ramondre Stevenson, you did nothing for us when you were in Oklahoma. Jeez, I can't even stand Ramondre Stevenson. If he does that shit again against the Giants on Monday Night Football, bye-bye, Felicia. You're out of here. That contract is a waste. And you know what's even... And now here comes the defense. Here's my winner on defense. Marcus Jones is definitely a winner. Carlton Davis is definitely a winner. My winner is Harold Landry. The fact that he was the only defensive lineman to get a sack says a lot of how much this team really needs him. And there's a reason for why Mike Vrabel got him. And the Titans were stupid enough to trade him out to release him because we all know the Titans are shit. And ownership has been shit. But the fact that Harold Landry has been saving our asses when we couldn't even apply pressure on one of the worst, or I would say below average offensive lines in the league, that is another red flag. And the fact that the pass rush has been declining, and the fact that Harold Landry managed to get a sack and a tackle for loss, impressive. Impressive. My loser on offense, no, my loser on defense, the run defense collectively. You allow Chase Brown to go for 103 yards. No, 107 yards and 19 carries. And it doesn't help that Milton Williams is gone. But the fact that you allow Chase Brown, who is not even at Joe Mixon's level, hell, even not even Zach Moss's level, you allow this guy who is not even on the same level as Joe Mixon to get this amount of yards, to allow this amount of yards. If we do that same shit against either Devin Singletary or Tyrone Tracy, oh, it's going to be a huge red flag for this number one run defense. And when we look about this, after the bye, we got James Cook again. We got Derrick Henry. We got an inconsistent Breece Hall. And then you have Devin A-Chain. And yes, Andy, I do agree. This is the first running back to get his first triple-digit rushing yards on the Patriots. And I know it's going to happen at some point. We've been really consistent at preventing running backs to getting this amount. But the fact when you lose Milton Williams and Kyle Tonga for a second there, you know it's going to be a recipe for disaster. And those are musket men and misfires. But before we conclude with this show, I want to ask you guys this question. As we head sailing back to New England to lick our wounds and get ready for the New York Giants, what should the Patriots do, Andy, to get back in the game? And we're going to be wearing our throwback uniforms for the last time.
Well, this might go without saying, our run zone offense needs to get the fuck together, which means, maybe not allow Ramondre Stevenson to be on the field so often from the 5-yard line, maybe involve your Trevion Hendersons of the world a little bit there, and let your mobile quarterback run a quarterback sneak, Mr. Josh McDaniels. Maybe I think we're getting Kyrie's Tonga back for either the Giants or Buffalo, which will help a little bit toward putting the clamps on running backs more. But Milton Williams is a huge loss. We're going to have to figure out a way to stop the run because Derrick Henry, Vrabel knows Derrick Henry. He knows Derrick Henry is a monster fucking running back. He's got to think of a way to stop him. Or my prediction of no double-digit losses might not pan out. But okay, I'm digressing too much. The thing I really think we need to fix is red zone offense, which we've struggled with for most of the season. But against one of the statistically worst defenses in the modern NFL, that just should not have happened at all. I mean, yes, credit to Cincinnati, they stepped up, but that was not the best play calling from inside the half-yard line, and you've got a mobile quarterback in Drake May. Fucking sneak him in. It's not that hard.
Put that camera on my face now. Put that camera on my face. Thank you. The only reason that there's a reason why that we put not play well here, because of one person, and I got the message for him right here. Play the music, please. Fuck! You're doing it low! Fuck Darian Lowe! For fuck's sake! carry on.
I was going to ask you, Thomas, your perspective on what we should do against the Giants next week. How should we bounce back after licking our wounds and then, having to wear a throwback?
We gotta play consistent red zone offense at this point. The screen passes, which I do not like at this point, but we have to because of Factorian Lowe's motherfucking ass that has to be replacing Will Campbell. But and especially our run defense better play consistently when we go against Tyrone Tracy, who used to be an ex-rookie out of Purdue, who is probably the worst Big Ten school in the 2020s, and to go against Devin Singletary, which we all know when's the last time we played motherfucking Devin Singletary, when he played for the fucking Bills. Like, man, we need to be smart. We have to smarten up with that. And most importantly, our offensive line better be disciplined, especially for Darren Lowe. Because if he does, I still hate his guts. If he doesn't play a consistent game against the Giants, then unfortunately, fuck him.
We need to clip that. But yes, this concludes the Patriots MayeFlower Voyage. And this next Patriots MayeFlower Voyage episode is going to be a big one because we are going to have some guests from the opposing fan base, which is the Giants. And what we normally see in this classic rivalry, which ignited because of this 2007 Super Bowl loss from Tyree and then Plexico, and we all know the rest of the story. It's a classic rivalry between the Patriots and the Giants. We're going up against them. We're going up against their interim head coach, not Brian Daboll, but Mike Kafka. And this is going to be an ultimate test. This is the third primetime game of the season, unless it gets flexed. I don't think it's going to get flexed, but it's going to be an ultimate test. And this will be the final game before we head to the bye. Let's see if the Patriots can get their shit together after not performing well after coming off of a mini bye. And I know you're right, Thomas, that Vidarian Blows has been shit. But everything else needs to get their shit together. Run, defense, red zone offense, pass, rush. They lost Evan Neal. They lost Malik Neighbors. They lost Cam Scatteraboo. I will not be shocked if Jackson Dart will be back soon. That is going to be scary if we don't get our shit together.
Yeah, and here's another worst thing. We're going against Jameis Winston, who is a gunslinging quarterback. And we don't know what happened the last time we play a gunslinging quarterback. We get our ass whooped.
This is going to be frustrating. We're going up against one of the most scariest defensive lines. We all know the story when we played against the Giants in the preseason game where Trayvon Baker was a fucking liability. But we will talk about it more in an upcoming episode on the Patriots MayeFlower Voyage presented by Patriots Clubhouse. And I want to thank you guys so much for this disgusting rant, I would say. I know it was unpleasant. I know that there was a lot of anger in ourselves. But I want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. Hope you spend time with your family. I'm so thankful that I got to work with all of you guys. And yes, I'm so thankful for all of you. And I wish all of you guys a happy Thanksgiving. And if you haven't already, please make sure that you smash the like button, hit subscribe. It's definitely free, helps us support the channel massively. And scan this QR code to join the Patriots Global Discord. Patriots Clubhouse Discord, excuse me. I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. And also, please comment down below your musket men and misfires, aka winners and losers, and your thoughts about this stressful win. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, go Pats.
Go Pats.